there are 3 C's of personal branding. I want to go through them with you. The first is clarity, being clear about who you are and who you're not. Okay? So Nordstrom knows that they are not Kmart. 2 completely different companies. Right? Different companies completely. Different kinds of products, different kinds of service, they're just different. And they serve 2 different populations, I believe, very, very well. Okay? But they're not, Nordstrom is not trying to be Kmart, and Kmart is not trying to be Nordstrom. It's not about you trying to be, again, the all things to all people. One of the mistakes I think that, well-meaning, unintentional mistakes that a lot of job seekers make is trying to say, well, I don't want to limit my options. I don't want to screen myself out unnecessarily for opportunity. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have this big, broad brand. I'm just going to I do this and this and this and this and this and that. I can do the other, the other, the other. What happens is that there's brand confusion out there about your brand. Yeah. People don't quite know who you are and what you do. Right? So it kind of goes to this old expression. People like to hire specialists, not generalists. If you have a leaky faucet, are you going to call the plumber or the general handyman? The plumber, of course. Of course. Why? The plumber is the specialist. There's this company that, as you probably all know, started in this area, Five Guys. Five Guys has become a national phenomenon. You know what they make? Hamburgers. That's it. Okay, fine, a couple of hot dogs. But really, they're a hamburger, and they do hamburgers really, really well. And have you noticed those companies that just do the one thing, Georgetown Cupcakes, pick it, whatever. They do the one thing, and man, everybody's all over it because they specialize in it. And they attract a certain kind of person who wants the specialty. They're not trying to be they're not the department store, if you will, of their product. It's the same thing with you. The more specialized you can be, you would think to yourself, I'm gonna limit myself. Actually, it's the opposite. The more specialized you are, the more attractive you're going to be to people in your tribe who would appreciate that, or even the people who are looking for someone who's in your lane, because they know that you're an expert. Come on. They know that you're an expert. And on top of which, you can actually become a thought leader. A thought leader? Me? I'm just no. Everybody these days, because of the power of social media, can become a thought leader. What do I mean by a thought leader? Someone who is advancing their profession, advancing ideas, moving the needle forward in your area of expertise, let's say, in a way that adds value. You can blog. And by the way, you can blog for free on LinkedIn. Did you know this? For anybody not know, well, for those, some people on the video may not know this. All you need to do, and think LinkedIn opened this up about, a year or 2 ago. You just go to your homepage. At the top of your homepage, you have a little picture, it's in a circle. And right underneath it, there are 3 different options. The third option says, publish a post. It doesn't use the word blog, it says publish a post. And you click on that, and there it is. Put a picture, a title, and your blog, and there it is. You can showcase your thought leadership just like that. I recommended this to one of my clients who was a technology professional, and after the second blog post, a software engineering group called him and said, we want you to speak at our meeting, because they loved what he said. This works. This actually works. I was actually sharing with somebody earlier this morning, another idea around thought leadership is, particularly if you're a writer, this works even better. You don't have to be a journalist, but you have to have at least some writing skills. You can actually write an article and call the subject matter experts in your field, aka your target employers, and interview them. It's like the Oprah effect. Oprah became popular not because of what she said, it's because of the people that she was interviewing and the way she interviewed them. Right? She was relational, she knew her stuff, she did her homework, and then she herself got a reputation as the interviewer. Isn't that amazing? Right? Barbara Walters, pick it. You could actually do the same thing. Who doesn't want to be interviewed? Right? You can call a CEO and say, I'm doing an article for such and such. I'd like to get this in such and such a trade publication, whatever it is. I'd like to interview you on your thoughts about blah, blah, blah. Whoa, who would turn that down? Consistency is steadfastly expressing your brand across all your communication channels. That means not just blogging. That means not just your articles. It's not just your LinkedIn. It's everything. It's making sure that you have all these different touch points and you're being consistent across all of them. You're being proactive. It goes back to that point. Don't be a reactive job seeker. Don't just try to wait for the jobs to come to you and the phone to ring, right? Or even for you to apply to a job. When you apply to a job posting, that's actually one of the most reactive things you can do, right? Because the job's sort of there. Well, how many people do you think you're competing with when you apply to that job posting? Thousands, potentially, at least hundreds, right? No, they can only hire one person, and their job is to screen everybody else out, right? And the chances of your resume actually getting seen, right, unless you've got the right keywords and the right channel, and you get somebody to refer you in to make sure that they actually, go beyond cyberspace and actually see that you're a real person. I mean, there's so many whole other talk I give on that, but the chances of that happening are small. So you need to make sure that you're doing what you can to be consistent so that you're noticed. And then finally, this constancy concept. Strong brands are always visible to their target audience. Same thing. It's not just being consistent, but making sure that you're out there, making sure that you're visible. Okay? And so I say here, making sure your brand is consistent in your resume, your LinkedIn, and across social media platforms. Okay? Be very intentional. Again, this is, we can have this conversation in this way very differently than we could have it 10 years ago. Would you agree? Okay? And no longer is this 2009 when everybody's like, what's a tweet? Okay?
Right.
We know what a tweet is now. Not to say that everybody's on it, but it's pretty easy to use, and there are so many tools out there to teach you if you haven't learned already. What I can tell you and encourage you is be very consistent and be very intentional. Now, this exercise, Passiontivity, a lot of you have taken. Either you've worked with me or you've been in a group like this. In fact, how many of you have actually taken the Passiontivity exercise? Yeah, several of you. Even if you've taken it with me or if you've done it on your own, I want you to do it again. Now, we're not going to take the time to do it here. This is more for you to do at home because we just don't have the time this morning. But I want to teach you a way to find your lane. Even if you have a tribe, don't you agree you have to have a lane too? Of course you do, right? If you're a commercial real estate professional, you can't just sort of say, well, I work for the sector. Well, in what way? What do you do? This is the what you do stuff. So no matter whether you have a tribe or not, you have to know your lane. And so I'm going to quickly run through the 4 quadrants. And this exercise helps you to align your skills with your career motivators, okay? So if you split your page into 4 quadrants, have 2 perpendicular lines, label the top line high motivation, and label the bottom line low motivation. On the left side, high skill, and on the right side, low skill. Okay? All of your skills will fall safely into one of these 4 quadrants, I guarantee it. Now, one of the tricks to this is not to overthink it. Okay? Don't overthink this. Let it flow. You could use your resume as a cheat sheet if you want to, but what I want to encourage you to do is, and I'll explain what the 4 quadrants are in a second, you want to do this with your hard skills. What do I mean by a hard skill? A hard skill is a functional skill. It's something that you physically do. For example, accounting, writing, research, project management, supervision, whatever. Those are hard skills. Soft skills, by contrast, are how you do them. So being creative, analytical, detailed, critical thinker. Okay, those are soft skills. So for the purpose of this exercise, it's very helpful to use your hard skills. So let's go through the 4 quadrants. On the the top left-hand quadrant, high skill, high motivation is where you're highly engaged. When I say highly engaged, I mean skills that you feel you're a rock star in. You just know you're really, really good at them. You just are. And you're also highly motivated to use them. In other words, you get energy from using these things. Okay, it's the get-to stuff. It's the stuff that, if you were independently wealthy, you'd still do it. This is really how you want to make a contribution. On the right-hand side, high motivation and low skill are areas of professional development. So you don't have a lot of skill in these areas, but you'd like more. You'd like to grow. Okay, sort of that'd be great if I could. On the bottom left is high skill, low motivation, which is stopgap work. Okay. Now, unfortunately, most of us are very familiar with this quadrant. It's the things that we do really well we don't particularly enjoy. Yeah, any of us been in that kind of work? Most everybody. Unfortunately, a lot of hiring managers end up promoting people based on this, or at least try to. We're coming in a generation where, most employers are just not going to take it, and they actually more and more will turn down promotions if the job is in stopgap land for them. Have you ever experienced this, right? This is very, very common. And unfortunately, what happens is a lot of people will come to a person like me, okay, they'll come to a coach, and it's 30 years into their career, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm qualified, I can do A, B, C, this is my lane, but man, I'm just not energized by it. right? For whatever reason. It's just something you're capable of doing, you're not particularly interested in. And mind you, this is not where your brand resides. Where does your brand reside? High, high.
High.
High, high. It's where you give your discretionary effort. It's where you're passionate. And opposite of that is your low, low. Low skill, low motivation. This is the draining stuff. Okay, so take me, for example, and this is whether you, if particularly for those of you who actually know me, there are a few of you in the room who do, but whatever, even if you don't. What do you think might go on my high, high? A few things. Connecting people.
Trade association work.
Okay, so that would be the tribal work. Okay, that's tribal. But the actual things that I do, what do you think that I'm really good at that I like to do?
Recruiting.
Recruiting.
Yeah. Coaching, counseling, that people-oriented work, right? Would you agree? Okay. So what do you think is my opposite? What do you think is my low, low? If I'm a real people person and I get into that kind of stuff, what do you think would be opposite of that for me? The things that I'm not good at and I don't like to do. Bookkeeping. Spreadsheets, budgets, paperwork, administrative, whatever. I mean, I would get fired up before the first day's over because I just don't do that work. My brain isn't wired that way. Do you know what I mean? I'm not an ops person. I'm a people person, okay? I'm a relationship builder. I'm a connector. Does this make sense? I just want to give you an example so you can see how it all kind of plays out. Okay. So next, finding your tribe. Again, I just want to get a little more specific here. And I'm putting this slide up here as much for, you know, if you want to see this video again, okay, just to remind yourself of what some of the examples are. But remember, it's an industry or mission that you want to serve where you can make a significant impact in the world. And I just gave a few quick examples: nonprofits, healthcare, environment, so forth and so on. But again, remember, there are always sub-tribes. In fact, recently I connected two of my coaching clients together who were in this very, very niche area of pharmaceutical benefits management stuff. Okay, I mean PBM, this and that, and it was Greek to me, but I knew, like when I talked to both of them, oh my gosh, you guys really need to talk to each other, and they did. And they were, like for an hour, it was just tribal, jargon, right? They connected, and they were hopefully going to be able to help each other because they really understand what that tribe needs in a way that I couldn't. Does this make sense? Okay. So there is a big difference between serving in a tribe and serving in a lane. So what I say here is employers want to know where you fit in. Why? Because they're risk averse. Because they want to know, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, the urgent problem that you're in a unique position to help them solve. They want to know that you get their language. They want to know you speak their language. Have you ever been to another country and you don't speak the language? It's a little bit hard to communicate, isn't it? Or people will come here and don't speak our language, even if they speak with a different accent, right? There's an immediate barrier. There's an immediate barrier there. There shouldn't be, but there is. It's just human nature. You want to remove those barriers, and one of the ways to remove the barriers is to say, you know what, tribal group over here, I do speak your language. I understand your culture. I understand your needs. I understand what keeps you up at night. Or in the lane kind of version, yeah, I'm an accountant and I really understand what's going on in the accounting world and how important it is to do X, Y, and Z, okay? The questions that are going to define your brand. Now, this is the one I just mentioned a second ago, and I'd like for you to write this down. Please do. And even if you're watching in a video and you think, well, you know, I'll see it again. No, please write this down, because this is one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself. What is the urgent problem, and notice I put urgent in caps, facing my target employer or tribe that I'm in a unique position to help them solve? Urgent problem. So let me put this into consulting terminology. So I'm going to speak to all of you as if you were looking for consulting work or freelance work or had your own little business. Because even if you're a full-time job seeker, I still want you to be in this mindset for a moment. Have you ever, if you're a consultant, have you ever gone after a prospective client? And the prospective client says, you say, oh, what's keeping you up at night, Mr. Employer, Miss Employer? And they say, oh yeah, X, Y, Z, PDQ, and then you say to them, okay, great, you know, I think I can help you with this, and let's do a contract. And then a month later, you call them to follow up, or, well, you know, we're not quite ready. Oh, call us back in 2 months. Call us back in 3 months. Do you know why they're saying that? Because the problem that they have is not urgent. It's not urgent. People do not open their wallets to solve problems that are not urgent. Usually. Usually. And if they do, maybe, just maybe, it goes from non-urgent to urgent because maybe there's a crisis, whatever, something happens where, now we really need it. But maybe at the time that you're talking to them, it's not quite urgent. If you can figure out what those urgent problems are and you can brand yourself to speak to that urgent problem, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I think we need you. And the second thing along those lines is, which is very similar, under what conditions would somebody pay me to fix their problems? Let's get brass tacks about it. Seriously, right? Why would somebody open up their wallet, their budget, their payroll, and give you money? It's not for your health, it's for theirs. Unless, again, even if you're a consultant, fine, it's, they're maybe paying on a different scale, but it's still money. They're the ones paying the money, you're the ones providing the service. Remember that relationship. That's why it often seems so unbalanced. Because unless you have such a product or such a service that everybody is knocking down your door to have, right, most of you are going to have to be in a position where you have to be proactive. And you've got to be able to justify your value in a way that's going to make somebody want to pay you. Does this make sense?